Hello and welcome to another video, and despite my cheery demeanour, I'm ill. And it sucks. I've been ill for like 2 days. Basically Luca got ill and then like a disease plague rat spread it onto Sayers, who subsequently spread it onto me. And yeah, it's not the best. Yesterday I had a bowl of shreddies and some toast, like in the whole day. This morning I've just been lying in bed, sweating out, feeling like a diseased, like fish. I don't want to go into too much detail and be too graphic in terms of explaining what's been going on with my body, so instead I'll just use one of my favourite films of all time to give you a visual demonstration. Yeah. So I feel like the fact that I'm so committed to YouTube that I've literally crawled out of my deathbed, like my bed's there, put a t-shirt on like I'm still in my pants just to make this video for you guys. I think it deserves a like. Like, come on. Anyway, in today's video, I want to talk about what was probably my biggest gym mistake going back to my first couple of years of lifting, and that was training for the pump. Now, I used to literally obsess over getting a pump. Like, I would alter my training, I would build my sessions around getting a pump, and this is alarmingly common. Like, I see it all the time, even from relatively experienced lifters. Now, on the one hand, getting a pump is sick, right? Like, it feels awesome, you look really good, there's loads of blood rushing to your muscles, so it makes sense, right? But in reality, it's actually a terrible way to train, and in today's video, I'm gonna explain why. So, drop the video a like, subscribe to my channel if you've not already, and let's go. Okay, we're in, and before I go any further, just in case you're sat there thinking, Matt, what the friggin' hell are you talking about, you pervert? Firstly, that's rude, and secondly, allow me to elaborate. So when I'm talking about a pump, I'm talking about the feeling you get when you're in a gym training a particular muscle, and it feels freaking huge. Like, it feels double the size, it looks double the size, all the skin is like super tight around the muscle. Like, let's be honest, it is a pretty amazing feeling, right? But on a physiological level, all that's happened here is the muscles become full of blood, right? You've stressed it so much and for so long that it's becoming engorged with blood, and that's why it feels and looks like that. Now, you can kind of understand the misconception here, because people will literally think, well, I've made my muscle bigger, therefore my training is working. But the reality is that it's just an acute effect, and training for a pump is actually a really ineffective way to train. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my 5 reasons why training for a pump is not a good way to train. Reason number 1 is that it is not optimal for hypertrophy. So basically, training, like the best training to elicit a pump, is almost like the opposite to the best training to build muscle, right, for long-term hypertrophy. So if I was to say to you, go and get a sick bicep pump, what would you do? Like, I'm pretty sure you'd grab probably like a 2 kilogram dumbbell and bang out like 100 reps, right? And by the end of that set, your bicep will be friggin' enormous and be super pumped. Like, you've only got to look like backstage at a bodybuilding show. Those guys are doing friggin' millions of reps with like almost no resistance at all, because that is the best way to get loads of blood in that muscle and get that short-term, that acute response of a sick muscle pump. But like I said, that is by no means the best way to build muscle. The best way to build muscle is to work in an adequate rep range, so somewhere, say, between 5 and maybe 25 reps at a push, for maybe 3 to 5 sets, with maybe somewhere around a minute or so recovery between your sets, right? Somewhere around that range. Whereas, like I said, training to get a pump is going to be nowhere near that. You're doing millions more reps and you're having nowhere near that recovery. Now, to give you an example, like 2-3 days ago before I got ill, actually I went out for like a little run, like my first run in about 5 years. I ran for like maybe 10 minutes. When I came back, I had an outrageous pump in both my calves. Like, my calves were friggin' rock solid. It felt pretty sick, right? But are you telling me going for a run is the best way to build your calves? Like, it's not. And if you think it is, you're probably an idiot or like Mo Farah. Now, leading on from number 1, reason number 2 is that it's not optimal for strength. So just like doing a set of like 100 reps with next to no weight is not going to elicit much hypertrophy, it's even worse for strength gain, right? The best way to train for strength is to work in a relatively low rep range, so anywhere up to maybe 5, 6, 7 reps with a relatively heavy weight, someone that's going to push you in terms of intensity, so up to an RPE 8, 9, maybe even 10. And crucially, with long recoveries in between your sets, we're talking like 2, 3, 4, even 5 minutes between your heavy working sets. Training for a pump is basically the opposite to that. You're doing loads of reps with no recovery. So like I said, it's not going to be good for building strength, and the more strength you build, the more capacity you have for volume, and therefore the more capacity you have, the more potential you have to build muscle mass. Reason number 3 is that it can lead to overtraining and ultimately injuries. So if you're training for a pump, like typically you're going to be doing loads of reps, you're going to be doing loads of sets in quick succession, right? So I've seen people doing like friggin' 10 drop sets on a chest press because they're trying to get that sick chest pump. Like, doing that is a ridiculous amount of volume, and if you keep progressing that, you're going to get to the point where you're doing, you know, hundreds of sets per session. That's going to lead to overtraining. It's also going to increase your risk of getting injured. Like if you're doing that many sets back to back, you're putting all your ligaments and your tendons and your connective tissue under a huge amount of stress, and you are basically asking for an injury. And obviously if you get injured, you can't train. If you can't train, you can't get bigger, you can't get stronger. Reason number 4 is that it's going to make progressive overload difficult and eventually impossible. So if you're unfamiliar with the term progressive overload, firstly, watch more videos, because I'll talk about it all the friggin' time. And secondly, progressive overload is essentially the act of making your training more difficult over a set period of time, right? So it may be every week, it may be every 2 weeks, every month. You make your training harder in some way. It might be you increase the weight, or you increase the reps, or you increase the sets, or you decrease your recovery. There are loads of ways of going about this, but basically you have to make your training more challenging in order to elicit a response from your body. So your body adapts to the new stimulus and it gets bigger and it gets stronger. Now, in case you're unaware, like progressive overload is the factor, it is the key factor in making progress. You have to be using progressive overload over a period of time in order to get bigger and in order to get stronger. And this is where the problem lies, because as I've already discussed, if you are training for the pump, chances are you are doing loads of reps and loads of sets with very little recovery. Now, if you're already doing like 10 sets of 20 reps with 30 seconds recovery, how are you going to progress that? How are you going to incorporate progressive overload? You're going to go like 12 sets of 20, then 15 sets to, like, before you know it, you're going to be doing friggin' 100 sets of 100. Like, unless you're going to install a bed in your gym and move in, it is physically impossible to sustain that progressive overload with that style of training. And the 5th and final reason why training for a pump is a terrible way to train is that it is an acute and inconsistent response. Okay, so in terms of it being acute, I've already established that getting a pump like lasts for a short period of time, right? It is not by any means a long-term response to exercise. You get a sick pump, half an hour, maybe an hour later, it's gone, okay? And in terms of it being inconsistent, like, it's as simple as that. Like, you won't get it all the time. Like, you won't always get the same level of pump. Sometimes you feel amazing, you get a sick pump. Sometimes it's just not there at all. And the reason for that is that it depends on things like levels of fatigue, like your diet, your supplements, time of the day. There are so many variables that affect the kind of pump you get that, like I said, it is very, very inconsistent. Now, we know for a start that there are loads of pre-workouts or pump products you can take to get an incredible pump, right? On top of that, taking loads of sodium is also going to give you a sick pump. But are those two things going to lead to building muscle? Obviously not. Like, if taking loads of sodium and pre-workout led to building muscle, people will be walking around friggin' drinking pre-workout and consuming salt by the handfuls every day. But that's not how it works, and like I said, a pump is merely an acute response to a muscle being stressed. It is not a good barometer of an effective workout. In conclusion, getting a pump feels friggin' awesome, right? And I guess to some small extent, like, it does have its place. I guess you can be used as an indicator to a degree to see whether something is working. So for example, if you were doing arm curls and you felt nothing in your bicep at all, that would probably tell me that maybe you're not engaging your bicep properly. So getting a slight pump kind of can tell you that yes, you are properly engaging a muscle, you are properly contracting it, you are going to make progress there, but it is by no means the be all and end all. It's not the main focus of your training by any means. There are lots of things that come before that. So like I said, progressive overload, you know, if you are getting stronger, if your numbers are going up each week and your body weight is going up slightly each week, the chances are you are building muscle, you are getting stronger. Now, if during this process you get a pump when you train, that's amazing, you know, congratulations, enjoy it. But if you don't worry about it, it doesn't matter. The fact that your numbers are going up is an indicator enough that you are making progress. And that is where I'm going to end the video, because firstly, I feel like a disgusting sweaty mess, and secondly, I need to go meet my daily quota of throwing up that my body seems to be currently enforcing. I apologise for the video being shorter than normal, but I'm struggling, so cut me a break, yeah? Drop the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you tomorrow.